Good morning, everyone. Of course, my name is Leslie Hislop, and it's a pleasure to be just sharing with you guys today a little bit of my story through the Adventist education system. I'm originally from the island of Tobago, or Sister Island, and my educational journey started in the Mason Hall SDA Primary School. That journey was interrupted a little bit when I got to, I think it was standard 4, or standard 3, when we had to shift to the Scarborough SDA Primary School when Mason Hall SDA Primary was closed down. When we shifted to Scarborough SDA Primary, I remember my brother and I, who were in school at the time, of course, Mason Hall was a much smaller school than Scarborough SDA Primary at the time, and we shifted to Scarborough. That was an adjustment period for us, and in the Scarborough Primary School, we had to learn new friends. It was a whole different experience, new teachers and so on. And then, of course, when we got to Standard 4, my parents took the decision that we would do the Harmon's entrance exam just to see what would happen. We did the examination. I placed 4th on the island. My brother placed 5th. And for whatever reason, my parents decided that we wouldn't do Standard 5. We would go straight to secondary school. Actually, we did 1 week of Standard 5. And then they said, here's what. You guys did well enough in the exam, off to secondary school for you all. So here was I, and I will always talk about this. In my first week of secondary school, I was in my primary school uniform. And for a young man, that was a really embarrassing thing. I couldn't come out of the classroom for a whole week. I was just sitting in class, sitting right behind the teacher's desk and staying in my short pants because everybody else in secondary school, well, my brother was also in the primary school uniform. But everybody else was in their long pants because they were prepared for secondary school. And you can imagine how traumatic that is for a young man. So that first week, I didn't want to come outside. Break time, lunch time, I was in class for the whole week. But I look back at that experience now and I smile because it was, how should I say? It was one of the great learning experiences for me as a young man going to school. But of course, the Harmon's experience was great. I was one of the top students in the class, and unfortunately, because of that, I never developed good studying habits. Got to Form 4 and started falling back in my work. And my parents were like, I think you probably need to repeat Form 4, I told them, I said, nah, I'm not repeating anything. I'm going through. So I went through to Form 5, got 3 subjects the first time I wrote my CXC examination. I was pretty young at the time because I was just 14 when I wrote CXC the first time. And then went back, repeated, got my additional subjects, and continued my educational journey. I had planned to go on to what was at the time West Indies College. It's now Northern Caribbean University in Jamaica, because I was interested in doing medical technology. But that was the same year that fateful coup took place, and unfortunately, my correspondence to the school got caught up in all of the drama at that time. And when I eventually heard back from the school that they had not received my application stuff and so on, it was already past the time to start the school year. So I was at a point where I was trying to determine what to do, with my life, because here it is, the journey I wanted to go on educationally was affected. So I made the decision to just do some A-levels in the meantime while I kind of decided what to do. Completed my A-levels and started the new phase of my experience in Adventist education, where I actually became a teacher. I taught at the Charlottesville Primary School, but I taught at North Regional in Mason Hall for 1 day because I started work on a Friday and then went to Charlottesville from the Monday. I taught at Charlottesville SDA Primary for 1 year, and then went on to Harmon's for 2 years. After I taught at Harmon's for those 2 years, I decided to continue my educational experience and came to CUC, now USC, and did my degree in biology. When I was doing my degree, I was kind of debating at the time, what should I do career-wise? And again, the appeal of medicine was there and so on. But I got called to do service at Bates. And from teaching at Bates, I spent a couple of years teaching at my brother-in-law's institution in Grandy, and then got back into the Adventist education system as the vice principal at CUC Secondary. And I'll tell you guys, the journey has been a fantastic one since then. Being involved in Adventist education from a student as well as a teacher and now an administrator has really proven to be an excellent experience in my life. I'll tell you one of the things that I learned throughout my experience, because change was one of the things that was always constant. One of the things I learned is that you have to rely on God, because life is going to throw things at you that you are totally unprepared for. But if you don't rely on God, if you don't look to Him for wisdom, if you don't look to Him for strength, then sometimes you will have questions as to what to do. I realize that because I've been relying on God right through my experience, that the questions always have answers for them. Thank you very much, guys. Continue to enjoy the hybrid experience.